Okay, so you know that feeling when you're like rushing out the door and you just like shove your feet into whatever shoes are closest,
Hmm.
and then it's like, "Ugh, not these shoes." Like maybe the tongue is all messed up or something, or your socks feel bunchy.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like this little thing, but it just like throws off your whole day,
absolutely.
right? But so imagine that feeling, but like times 100.
Right.
And that is like the daily life for a lot of autistic kids when it comes to shoes. And it's honestly not something I'd ever really thought about before.
Yeah.
So we are diving into that today with this article. How do you get an autistic child to keep their shoes on? And it's
I
more
see.
fascinating than I thought it would be.
It is, and it's the article does a good job of laying out kind of the reasons why, but we're going to go a little deeper into it.
Yeah, because it's never as simple as it seems, right?
Right. Exactly.
So the article mentions these 3 core reasons why shoes can be so tough for autistic kids. Sensory issues, fine motor difficulties, and then like the need for routine, which all sound pretty straightforward, but I'm guessing there's more to it.
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
like with sensory issues, think about like everyone's had that shirt that like the tag, just drives you crazy.
Oh, yeah,
Like sandpaper on your skin.
totally.
So now amplify that by like 1,000.
Oh, wow.
And that's what a lot of autistic kids experience with shoes, with socks, the seams in the socks, the pressure of the shoes, even just like their toes rubbing together can be really
So
overwhelming.
it's not even just like a mild annoyance. It's like a real thing.
It's a very real physical experience for them, and it can be really hard for us to fully like grasp that intensity.
Yeah.
But the article gives this example of like even just sensory friendly socks can make a huge difference.
Mhm.
Like some kids find it really calming to have that like gentle hug of like a compression sock
Oh, that's interesting.
or just a seamless sock where there's no like seems to irritate them.
It's like when you're like, I don't know, at a loud restaurant or something, and you put in those noise-canceling headphones,
Yes, exactly.
and it's like, oh,
It just makes the world manageable.
okay, yeah.
Exactly. And we
Yeah.
all have those sensory things, right? Some days. But for people with sensory sensitivities, it's like that all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then fine motor skills.
Yeah.
Like, I am an adult, and I still trip over my own feet sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
So I can only imagine.
It's a lot to coordinate,
Yeah.
especially for little kids who are still figuring that out.
Yeah.
And then you add in, trying to get your foot in the shoe, like which shoe goes on which foot.
Yeah.
And then
Tying them.
don't even get me started on the laces.
Oh, my gosh.
But, for a child who's still developing those fine motor skills, it's like asking them to write a symphony when they're still learning their ABCs.
Right.
It's a lot.
And like, on top of that, you were talking about the routine thing earlier,
Oh, yeah, routine.
which we know is like everything.
Huge for so many kids.
Yeah.
Because imagine if you thrive on that predictability of knowing what to expect each day.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like shoes.
It's like, no, my day is ruined. I can't wear shoes. I have to wear my fuzzy slippers.
Yeah, exactly. Like for us, it might seem like a small thing.
Right.
But for a child who really relies on that routine, it can be incredibly disruptive.
Yeah. Okay.
It throws their whole world off.
So we've got the sensory overload, the like actually having to get the shoes on part,
Right.
and then the routine being messed up on top of it.
It's a lot.
So is there any hope for us?
There is. There is. That's the good news. And this is where it gets really interesting because it's not about forcing a child to wear shoes.
Yeah.
It's about understanding their needs.
Meeting them where they're at.
Exactly. And so the article gives all these different categories of like how to actually make this work.
Okay.
And so we talked about the sensory friendly options. But, I am very interested in the concept of adaptive shoes
Okay, like what is that?
because, like, they have really stepped up their shoe game since we were kids.
Like what? They light up now? There's Velcro? What's going on?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, they're making shoes that are actually, like, comfortable and accessible. It's not just about looking cute.
Right.
So, Velcro straps, instead of laces, elastic laces that have some give, breathable materials so your feet don't get all sweaty,
Oh, that's huge.
and wide toe boxes to give those toes room to breathe.
It's like the difference between wearing like a scratchy wool sweater
Uh,
versus your favorite t-shirt.
right, exactly.
Like they're both clothes, but one is going to make you feel way better.
For sure. And what's cool is that they're making these options not just for kids anymore.
Oh, good.
Because we all have sensory needs.
That's true.
So that's good news.
Yeah, so you've got these special shoes, but how do you even get the kid to wear them?
Right.
Because like that seems like a whole other hurdle.
Well, you know what they say about Rome.
What do they say?
It wasn't built in a day.
Oh.
Baby steps, my friend.
Oh, okay.
Baby steps.
So you don't just like put the shoes on and be like, we're going to school.
No.
Okay.
Start small. Maybe they wear the shoes for a couple minutes while they're doing something they enjoy.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, and then gradually increase the time, you know?
So it's like you're building up a tolerance.
Exactly. Like marathon training.
Okay. But for shoes,
Instead of running 26 miles, it's wearing shoes for 5 minutes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just like with the marathon training, you celebrate the small victories.
Oh, yeah.
Positive reinforcement.
So those like high fives when they put the shoes on are important?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's not about bribery. It's about making those positive associations
Right.
with wearing the shoes.
Okay. Did the article say anything about how to do that well?
Yeah, I think the key takeaway was really finding rewards that actually matter to the kid. It doesn't have to be like, a trip to Disneyland every time they put their shoes on,
Right.
but like, what is it that makes them tick?
So a sticker chart or
Yeah.
the favorite song or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just those small things.
That makes sense. What else? Well, and so, speaking of things that make sense, this is something that I thought was really cool. Visual aids.
Okay.
Because, sometimes the things that we find the most daunting are the ones with like the unspoken steps.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Those things that like we just assume everyone knows how to do.
Putting together IKEA furniture.
Yes, exactly.
When it doesn't have instructions.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you think everyone just magically knows how to do these things.
Exactly. And that's where the visual aids can really help.
Okay.
So if you have a child who's really overwhelmed by like this whole process of putting on shoes,
Right.
just a simple picture chart that like breaks down the steps can make all the difference.
Oh, so they can see it. Like, this is step 1, this is step 2.
Yes, exactly. It's like having those instructions for the IKEA furniture.
Okay, that makes sense. And then once they kind of get the visual, then what? Like, how do you get them to actually practice?
Well, that's where the role playing comes in.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was such a cool idea.
Like what you mean, like playing dress up?
Kind of, but like with a purpose.
Okay.
So you know how kids are always doing like pretend play anyway?
Yeah, like having a tea party or whatever.
Exactly. So it's like that, but you incorporate the shoes into it.
So like, oh, we're going to a tea party, but first we have to put our shoes on.
Exactly. Or we're going to the park.
Okay.
But first we got to get our shoes on to go to the park.
It's like sneaking vegetables into the smoothie.
Yes.
They don't even realize they're doing the thing.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty smart. Oh, the article also mentioned something about sensory play.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. So like having a sensory bin, with different textures.
Yeah.
And they can explore the textures while they're wearing their shoes.
So it's like making it fun.
Exactly.
Instead of a chore.
You got it. Desensitization and positive association all in one.
Okay, that's really cool. But, sometimes it's more than just like the sensory stuff or like the physical act of putting the shoes on, right?
Absolutely.
Like sometimes there's like a real fear.
Yeah, like an anxiety around shoes
Yeah.
that needs to be addressed with a lot of empathy and understanding.
Because it's not really about the shoes, it's about what the shoes represent or something.
Exactly. And that's where, patience and gentle encouragement and sometimes even professional help
Yeah.
can be really, really helpful.
It's like their behavior is telling us something.
Exactly. It's communication.
Mhm.
And sometimes we just need a little help to understand it,
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're kind of wrapping up this shoe journey.
Our shoe saga.
Yeah, exactly. What's like the biggest thing you want our listeners to remember?
I think just remembering that every child is so unique.
Yeah.
What works for one might not work for another, and that's okay.
Right.
It's all about just being really observant and responsive.
And patient.
And patient, yes. Compassionate.
Yeah, and like celebrating those little victories, even if it's just for like a minute or two.
Exactly. Those small steps add up.
They do. Wow, who knew we could talk about shoes for this long?
Right. It's a whole world.
It is. But this is fascinating.
It really is.
And, it makes you think about all the other things that we maybe just take for granted.
Absolutely.
That other people experience so differently.
For sure. And how we can all be more understanding and aware of that.
Yeah, like what if classrooms all had adjustable lighting?
Right.
Or restaurants had like a sensory menu?
I love that.
Right.
Sensory menus. That's brilliant.
It's like a whole new world of just being aware of other people.
Exactly.
I love that. Well, I think that is a wrap for our shoe deep dive.
Shoe deep dive. I love it.
But the conversation doesn't have to end here. Tell us about your shoe struggles, or even your shoe victories.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
What are your aha moments? You can find us on our website or social media.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for joining us.